A 10,000-year-old skeleton was pulled out of a cave in England, and his skin should not have been that color. In 1903, workmen digging a drainage trench in Cheddar Gorge hit bone. What they uncovered was Britain's oldest nearly complete human skeleton, curled in the dark limestone, untouched for 10 millennia. For over 100 years, scientists assumed they knew what he looked like. Pale skin, light hair, a face built for gray English winters. In 2018, his DNA was finally read, and the result didn't match a single assumption. Cheddar Man's genetic code pointed to skin so dark it was classified as dark to black. Pigmentation researchers today associate with parts of sub-Saharan Africa. But his eyes were a piercing, unmistakable blue, a pairing that, by modern instinct, shouldn't exist. A dark-skinned, blue-eyed hunter walking through what is now the English countryside. 10,000 years before sunscreen, before vitamin D pills, before anyone had a word for race. If early Britons were dark-skinned, when did European skin actually turn pale? The answer isn't just about one skeleton. It rewrites the timeline of the entire human species. To find it, we have to go back over 1 million years, long before Britain, before Africa, and Europe meant anything, to a hairy, upright ancestor moving across an equatorial savanna under merciless sun. Most mammals are shielded by thick fur. Our ancestors gave theirs up, likely to sweat more efficiently and hunt through the heat of the day without collapsing. But losing fur exposed bare skin directly to radiation it had never faced before, and that created a hidden problem no one could see happening. Picture it. No fur to shade the skin, no sunglasses, no shelter waiting nearby, just open grassland and a sun that never let up. Every hour spent hunting under that sky was an hour of invisible exposure, accumulating in the body with no way to measure it, no way to feel the danger until generations later, when it showed up as failed pregnancies and children who never made it to birth. Skin needs melanin to survive intense ultraviolet light. Without enough of it, sunlight breaks down a nutrient called folate, carried in blood vessels just beneath the surface. Folate is essential for healthy pregnancies and for producing sperm. So this wasn't only about sunburn. Left unchecked across generations, unprotected skin could quietly undermine fertility itself. Evolution responded the way it always does, slowly and without mercy. Bodies with more melanin protected their folate and reproduced more successfully. Over hundreds of thousands of years, dark, richly pigmented skin became the human baseline near the equator. Here's the detail most people never hear stated plainly. Dark skin isn't a variation of human skin. It's the original. Every person alive today descends from dark-skinned ancestors. This is where the story usually gets told wrong. Documentaries love to frame human evolution as a march toward paleness, as though light skin were the finish line the species was always running toward. The genetics say the opposite. For the vast majority of the roughly 300,000 years Homo sapiens has existed, the default human being, everywhere on Earth, was dark-skinned. Pale skin isn't humanity's origin story. It's a late edit. Then early humans did something that would undo all of it. They started walking north. As populations pushed into higher latitudes across Europe and Asia, they ran into the opposite problem: not too much sun, not nearly enough. And this new threat was just as dangerous as the first one. Skin doesn't only need protection from UV light. It needs UV light to survive. Sunlight triggers the skin to produce vitamin D, critical for absorbing calcium and building strong bones. In weak, seasonal sunlight, heavy pigmentation stopped being a shield and became a liability, blocking too much UV to make enough vitamin D. Without it, children's bones bent and deformed, a condition later called rickets. So a second wave of selection began, running in the opposite direction. Lighter skin absorbed more UV, produced more vitamin D, and survived better in low sunlight regions. Skin color across our species wasn't shaped by culture or geography alone. It was a slow, brutal negotiation between two invisible killers: folate loss near the equator and vitamin D starvation near the poles. That should have settled the question. It didn't. When researchers started sequencing Mesolithic skeletons across Europe, not just in Britain, but in Spain, Hungary, and Luxembourg, they kept hitting the same result: dark skin, light eyes, populations that had lived in Europe for tens of thousands of years and were still, genetically, dark-skinned hunter-gatherers. If pale skin was such a critical survival advantage in a low-sunlight continent, why did it take so long to show up? The answer only surfaced once scientists strung together thousands of years of European genomes into a single timeline, and it overturned the story completely. The genes behind light skin, SLC24A5 and SLC45A2, weren't slowly evolving inside Europe's hunter-gatherer population at all. They arrived from somewhere else entirely. Farmers migrating out of the Middle East roughly 7,000 to 8,000 years ago carried those genes with them, then interbred with the existing dark-skinned population over the following millennia. Pale skin didn't quietly emerge in Europe. It was imported, layered on top of a population that had already thrived with dark skin for tens of thousands of years. And here's the detail that makes even geneticists pause. The blue eyes came first. Long before pale skin ever reached Western Europe, gene variants for light-colored eyes were already common among its dark-skinned hunter-gatherers. For thousands of years, people walked through the forests of what is now France, England, and Spain with skin as dark as any equatorial population, and eyes the color of glacial ice, a combination modern instinct says shouldn't pair together. For most of prehistory, it was simply normal. Strip away the genetics for a second, and picture what this meant for an actual life. A mother in Mesolithic Europe, nursing an infant through a gray winter, had no concept of vitamin D or melanin. She only knew that some children grew strong, and others grew weak and bent-boned, without ever knowing why. Sunlight wasn't abstract. It was survival, quietly deciding fertility, bone strength, whether a child lived to adulthood. Every skin tone on Earth carries the accumulated bets of thousands of generations, gambling against too much sun, or not enough. And this exposes something almost everyone gets wrong without realizing it. Most people picture human skin color as a straight, ancient line, darkest at the equator, gradually paler the further you travel from it, as if the arrangement has always been fixed. It hasn't. Skin color has been remixed and reshuffled by migration again and again, and far more recently than people assume. Pale skin in Northern Europe is younger than farming, younger than pottery, younger, in places, than the pyramids of Egypt. It didn't happen only once either. In parts of East Asia, lighter skin evolved independently, through entirely different genetic pathways, proving evolution found more than one route to the same solution, in different populations, at different times, chasing the same invisible target, sunlight, and the body's endless negotiation with it. Which brings this story into the present, because the bargain never actually ended. Vitamin D deficiency is still a real, documented public health concern for people with darker skin now living far from the equator. A mismatch created almost entirely by recent migration, not ancient biology. Meanwhile, in sun-drenched regions, dermatologists now warn against the very radiation that built the human species in the first place, urging sunscreen and shade to prevent the damage that once shaped skin tone itself. The sun that made us now has to be managed, filtered, avoided. Even the products in a modern bathroom cabinet trace back to this same ancient standoff. Sunscreen exists because melanin alone can no longer keep pace with how much time indoor-adapted bodies now spend in direct sun on vacation, at the beach, on a single unprotected afternoon. Vitamin D supplements exist because modern life, lived indoors, under artificial light, behind glass and screens, has quietly recreated the exact low sunlight conditions that once forced skin to lighten in the first place. We didn't escape the ancient bargain. We just moved indoors and started negotiating with it differently. Skin color was never a symbol. It was never a fixed marker separating people into ancient, unchanging categories. It's closer to a weather report, written in melanin, showing how much sunlight someone's ancestors negotiated with, and how recently their bloodline moved somewhere new. Which brings the story back to that cave in Cheddar Gorge. When researchers finally revealed Cheddar Man's reconstructed face, dark skin, dark curling hair, startling blue eyes, some people reacted with outright disbelief, convinced the science had to be wrong. It wasn't. Our expectations were. Cheddar Man was never a mystery buried in a cave for 10,000 years. He was a mirror. Proof that the human body never stopped adjusting to sunlight. Quietly, invisibly, generation after generation, long before anyone had a name for skin color, or a reason to divide people by it. As global migration accelerates and populations mix faster than at any point in human history, geneticists expect skin pigmentation to keep shifting for generations to come. The same slow negotiation with sunlight simply running its next chapter. The story didn't end in Cheddar Gorge. It's still being written, in every family, on every continent, right now. The strangest part of this story was never that ancient skin changed. It's how recently, and how much, it's still changing now.